Sienna's phone buzzed at 3 a.m., and the message that appeared made her blood run cold. Did you really think marriage would protect you? June owes a debt. You're going to pay it. 3 months earlier, she'd thought escaping to Hawaii meant leaving the danger behind. She was wrong. Sienna thought she'd married the love of her life. She had no idea he was hiding something big that could destroy everything they've built. The screen illuminated her face in the darkness of their New York penthouse bedroom, and her hands trembled as she read the words again. Beside her, June slept peacefully, one arm draped across her waist. She wanted to wake him, to show him the message, but something stopped her. In the dim light, his face looked younger, vulnerable. This was supposed to be over. They'd left that life behind. If you're already hooked and want to see how Sienna and June's perfect life falls apart, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop your theories in the comments section now. What do you think this very big secret June is hiding is? Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. 4 months had passed since their small wedding, and life had been everything Sienna dreamed of. Her photography career had exploded after her first gallery show. Critics called her work hauntingly intimate, and she had 3 more exhibitions lined up. June's legitimate businesses thrived, and he'd become something she never expected. A man who came home at reasonable hours, who cooked dinner with her, who taught her Korean phrases while they did dishes together. That morning, before the threatening text, they'd been discussing something that made Sienna's heart feel too big for her chest. "I think I'm ready," she'd said over coffee, watching June's reflection in the window as he stood at the stove making kimchi fried rice. "Ready for what?" He'd glanced over his shoulder, smiling. "To start trying, for a baby." The words came out softer than she'd intended, nervous and hopeful at once. June's smile had faltered for just a second, so brief she almost missed it. Then it was back, warm and genuine. "Yeah? Yeah. Everything's stable now. Your businesses are legitimate. We're safe. I have my career established. It feels like the right time." She'd stood and crossed to him, wrapping her arms around his waist from behind. "Don't you think?" He turned in her arms and kissed her forehead. "Soon. Let's just make sure everything is completely settled first. Maybe in a few months?" "A few months," she'd agreed, though something in his hesitation had planted a seed of unease. Now, staring at that message in the middle of the night, that unease bloomed into full fear. Jun owes a debt. What debt? They'd closed that chapter. He'd gotten out clean, hadn't he? She deleted the message and tried to sleep, but dawn found her exhausted and anxious, watching June's face for signs of secrets. Over the next week, 3 more messages arrived, each one more specific, more threatening. Photos of Sienna leaving her gallery, shopping for groceries, meeting Maya for lunch. Someone was watching, documenting, waiting. She showed Jun the 4th message, and his reaction told her everything she'd feared. His face went blank, that dangerous, controlled blank she remembered from their early days, the blank that meant violence was simmering beneath the surface. "Who sent this?" His voice was too calm. "I don't know. June, what debt? I thought everything was settled." "It is." But he wouldn't meet her eyes. Then why? "I'll handle it." He pulled out his phone, already dialing Daeho. "You're not going anywhere without security starting now." "June, talk to me. What's happening?" He finally looked at her, and there was something in his eyes she couldn't read. Guilt? Fear? "It's probably nothing. Someone trying to scare us, that's all. Old enemies making noise." "That's not nothing. I said I'll handle it." His tone left no room for argument, and Sienna felt herself getting angry. "We're married. We're supposed to handle things together. Not this. Not when it puts you in danger." He kissed her forehead, already moving toward the door. "Daeho will be here in 20 minutes. Don't leave without him." He was gone before she could argue further, and Sienna was left standing in their beautiful penthouse, feeling like she'd been transported back to the early days, when June made decisions for her, when danger lurked around every corner, when she was something to be protected rather than a partner. The package arrived 2 days later. Daiho brought it up personally, his face grim. Inside, carefully arranged, were photos. Dozens of them, Sienna at every moment of her day, leaving the building, at the gym, buying flowers, laughing with Maya at a cafe. Each photo was marked with a red X over her face. Beneath the photos was a note in elegant handwriting. June knows what he owes. You have 30 days. Tell him the Petrov family doesn't forget. Sienna's hand shook as she held the note. Petrov. The name meant nothing to her, but Daiho's expression said it meant everything. Where's June? She asked. Meeting with his lawyers. He'll be back soon. Call him now. He needs to see this. June arrived within the hour, and the moment he saw the package, something shifted in his demeanor. He picked up the note, read it, and his jaw tightened. Fuck. Who are the Petrovs? Sienna demanded. June was silent for a long moment, staring at the photos spread across their dining table. When he finally spoke, his voice was heavy. Russian family. Old business associates from my LA days. There was a dispute, a territory issue that ended badly. How badly? Someone died. The room felt too small suddenly. Sienna sat down hard in one of the dining chairs. You killed someone? Not directly, but I was involved in the situation that led to it. June's hands clenched into fists. It was 5 years ago, Sienna. Ancient history. I thought it was resolved. Clearly it's not resolved if they're threatening your wife. I know, and I'm sorry. This is exactly what I was afraid of, my past coming back to hurt you. He knelt in front of her, taking her hands. I'm gonna fix this. I'll pay whatever they want, make whatever deal they need. You won't be touched, I promise. What do they want? Money, probably. Territory. Information about former associates. I'll figure it out. He stood, already pulling out his phone. Pack a bag. You're going back to Hawaii until this is handled. Excuse me? It's not safe here. They know where we live, where you work. Hawaii is secure and... No. Sienna stood, anger overriding fear. I'm not running. We don't run from things, Jun. We face them together. This isn't up for debate. The hell it isn't. I'm your wife, not some damsel you can ship off whenever things get complicated. Sienna. No. You want to handle this? Fine. But I'm staying and I'm helping. That's what partners do. Jun looked like he wanted to argue, but something in her expression stopped him. He exhaled slowly. Okay, you stay. But you follow security protocols. Daiho's team is with you 24/7. You don't go anywhere without checking in. And if things escalate, if I tell you to leave, you leave. Deal? Deal. He pulled her into his arms, holding her tight. Against her hair, he murmured, I won't let anything happen to you. But as Sienna pressed her face against his chest, she felt that unease again, the sense that he was holding something back, that there was more to this Petrov situation than he was telling her. She was right to be uneasy. The next 2 weeks were a study in controlled paranoia. Daiho's team expanded to 6 men who rotated shifts, and Sienna couldn't walk to her own mailbox without an armed escort. Jun took meetings she wasn't invited to, made calls in rooms with closed doors, and came to bed late smelling like stress and expensive scotch. The countdown continued. Every 3 days a new message arrived. 27 days. 24 days. 21 days. Each one a reminder that time was running out, that something terrible was coming. Sienna tried to maintain normalcy. She went to her gallery, met with clients, edited photos late into the night, but the joy had leaked out of everything. She was constantly looking over her shoulder, jumping at shadows, wondering which stranger on the street was watching her. Maya noticed during their weekly coffee date, which now took place in the penthouse instead of their favorite cafe. You look exhausted, Maya said, studying Sienna's face with concern. When's the last time you actually slept? I sleep. Sienna sipped her coffee, avoiding her best friend's eyes. Liar, what's going on? And don't tell me nothing because you've got a security detail that could protect the president. Sienna wanted to confide in her, to share the fear that was eating her alive. But how could she explain without revealing too much about June's past? Just some trouble from John's old life. He's handling it. Is he, though? Because you're the one who looks like she's falling apart. Before Sienna could respond, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her stomach dropped as she opened the message. 18 days, Sienna. Has he told you about Soul yet? Ask him. Ask him what he's really hiding. Soul. The word meant nothing to her, but her hands started shaking anyway. Sienna? What is it? Maya reached across the table. I have to go. Sienna stood abruptly, phone clutched in her hand. I'm sorry, I need to talk to Jun. She found him in his home office, video call with his lawyers displayed across 3 monitors. He looked up when she entered, and whatever he saw in her face made him immediately end the call. What happened? Soul. She held up her phone, showing him the message. What does soul mean? June's face went pale. Actually pale. In all the months she'd known him, through kidnappings and FBI raids and every danger imaginable, she'd never seen him look like this, like the ground had opened beneath his feet. Jun, what is soul? Nothing. It's nothing. Just them trying to get in your head. Stop lying to me. Her voice cracked. I can see it on your face. Soul means something. What are you hiding? Sienna, please, trust me on this. It's not important. Not important? They're using it to threaten us, and you say it's not important? June stood, started to reach for her, then stopped. His hands fell to his sides. There are things from my past that don't matter anymore. Things that have no bearing on us, on our life now. Soul is one of them. Then why won't you tell me about it? Because it will hurt you, and I'm trying to protect you from that pain. I don't need protection from the truth. I need my husband to be honest with me. Sienna was shouting now, months of fear and frustration pouring out. How can we talk about starting a family when you're keeping secrets this big? That landed. Jun flinched like she'd slapped him. That's what this is about? The baby? This is about trust. This is about you making decisions about what I can and can't handle without actually asking me. She was crying now, angry tears that she couldn't stop. I chose this life. I chose you. But I chose the version of you that was honest with me, even when the truth was hard. You want the truth? June's voice went hard. Fine. Soul was where I was before LA. Soul was where I made mistakes I'm still paying for. Soul was where I learned that people I love get hurt because of who I am. Is that what you wanted to hear? That's not the truth. That's vague garbage designed to shut me up. It's all you're getting right now. They stared at each other across the office, and Sienna felt something crack between them. Trust, maybe, or the illusion of it. I'm going to bed, she said quietly. Sleep in the guest room tonight. She left before he could respond, and for the first time since they'd married, Sienna fell asleep alone and wondering if she'd made a terrible mistake. At 2 a.m., she woke to voices. June and Deho arguing in hushed tones in the hallway outside the bedroom. She crept to the door, pressing her ear against it. Can't keep this from her much longer, Deho was saying. They're going to tell her. You know they will. I know. I just need more time. If she finds out like this, from them, she'll never forgive me. June's voice was ragged, desperate in a way she'd never heard. Maybe you should tell her yourself, before they use it against you. I can't. If I tell her about Minji, about the baby, she'll leave. And I can't lose her, Deho. I can't survive losing someone else I love. Sienna's hand flew to her mouth, stifling a gasp. Minji? A baby? Her mind raced, trying to make sense of what she'd heard. "She deserves to know," Deho said firmly, "and she's stronger than you give her credit for. You didn't see her face tonight. She's already questioning everything. If I drop this on her now, if you don't and she finds out another way, it'll be worse." Their voices faded as they moved away, leaving Sienna frozen by the door. Min-ji, a baby, soul. The pieces were there, but she couldn't quite make them fit together. Had June been married before? Did he have a child? Was that why he'd been hesitant about starting a family with her? She couldn't breathe. The room felt too small, the air too thick. She needed to know. She needed to understand what her husband was hiding, what secret was so terrible he thought she'd leave him over it. Moving quietly, Sienna left the bedroom and went to June's office. His laptop sat on the desk, closed but not locked. He trusted her. Even now, even with all these secrets, he trusted her not to invade his privacy. She opened it anyway. The laptop required a password. She tried their wedding date. Wrong. Her birthday. Wrong. She sat back, thinking, what would June use? What mattered enough to him? On impulse, she tried a date from his past, the day they'd first met, when she'd accidentally sent him that photo, the laptop unlocked. Sienna felt sick invading his privacy like this, but the need to know overpowered the guilt. She opened his email, scanning through business correspondence, legal documents, nothing personal. Then she found a folder labeled Personal Archives. Inside were photos, dozens of them. And the first one made her world tilt sideways. Jun, younger by several years, standing in a traditional Korean wedding hanbok. Beside him, a beautiful woman in matching traditional dress, smiling radiantly at the camera. The date stamp read 7 years ago. Sienna clicked through more photos. June and this woman, Min-ji, it had to be Min-ji at various events, formal dinners, walking through what looked like Seoul. One photo showed Min-ji laughing, her hand resting protectively over a small but visible baby bump. The room spun. Sienna gripped the desk, trying to process what she was seeing. June had been married. His wife had been pregnant, and he'd never said a word. She kept searching, desperate for answers, found encrypted messages mentioning the Seoul incident and Min-ji's family and ongoing payments. Found a document that looked like a death certificate, though it was in Korean, and she could only make out the name and date. Min-ji had died 7 years ago, the same year as that baby bump photo. Sienna's hand covered her mouth as the implications crashed over her. Jun had lost a wife and a child, and he'd hidden it from her completely. Behind her, the office door opened. Jun stood in the doorway, and the look on his face was pure devastation. Not anger at her snooping, just profound, soul-deep sadness at being discovered. Sienna. She spun the laptop around so he could see the wedding photo on the screen. Who is she? He didn't pretend not to understand. Her name was Min-ji. Was. She died 7 years ago. Sienna's voice shook. You were married? Yes. She was pregnant. June's face crumpled. Yes. And you never thought to mention this? Not once? Not when we were talking about getting married ourselves? Not when I said I wanted to have your baby? Her voice rose with each question, fury and heartbreak warring for dominance. How could you hide something this massive? Because I couldn't bear to talk about it. June stepped into the office, hands raised like he was approaching a wounded animal. Because every time I tried to tell you, I saw that pregnancy photo in my head, and I couldn't breathe. Because I'm a coward who wanted to pretend that part of my life never happened. That's not good enough. I know, and I'm sorry. God, Sienna, I'm so sorry. He was crying now, tears streaming down his face. I should have told you. Before we got married, before we fell in love, before everything. But I was selfish and scared, and I thought, if you knew about my dead wife and dead child, you'd never look at me the same way. Sienna felt her own tears falling. Tell me everything, right now. No more secrets. Jun sank into a chair like his legs wouldn't hold him anymore. Minji and I were married in Seoul 7 years ago. It was arranged, a union between two crime families. I was building my empire. Her family had connections I needed. It was business. Did you love her? No. I respected her, cared about her welfare, but I didn't love her. We were partners in name only. He stared at his hands. When she got pregnant, I tried. I really tried to make it work, to be the husband and father they deserved. But I was still in deep with the organizations, still making enemies, still living dangerously. What happened? There was a deal. Korean and Russian families meeting to discuss territory in LA. Minji insisted on coming. She'd been involved in the business side, wanted to maintain her position even while pregnant. Jun's voice broke. The Petrov family was there. Their heir, Alexei, was negotiating for them. Sienna's stomach dropped. The Petrovs, the same ones threatening us now. During the meeting, I got a tip that something was wrong, that Minji and Alexei had been seen together before, privately. I confronted them. His hands clenched into fists. Minji admitted they'd been having an affair, that she didn't know whose baby she was carrying, mine or his. Oh my God. I lost it. Started shouting, accusing them both of betrayal. Alexei pulled a gun. My men pulled guns. Everything went to hell. Jun's voice was hollow now, reciting facts like they'd happened to someone else. Shots were fired. In the chaos, Minji tried to run and was caught in the crossfire. She was killed instantly. So was Alexei. So was my child. Or his child, we'll never know. The office was silent except for the sound of their breathing. Sienna tried to process it all, but it was too much. Too big. Too tragic. The Petrovs blamed me, Jun continued. Said I'd orchestrated the whole thing to kill their heir. They swore revenge. I paid them off, gave them territory, did everything I could to make it right. I thought it was settled. I thought they'd accepted that it was an accident, that we'd all lost something that day. But they didn't. No, they've been waiting, biding their time until I had something they could take away from me, the way I took Alexei away from them. Jun looked at her, his eyes red and devastated. You. They want to hurt me by hurting you. Sienna's mind was reeling. Why didn't you tell me any of this? Because I'm broken, Sienna. Because I lost a wife and a child, maybe my child, and I blamed myself for 7 years. Because I worked so hard to become someone different, someone better. And I was terrified that if you knew the depths of what I'd done, the life I'd lived, you'd realize you'd married a monster. His voice cracked. I wanted to give you the version of me who deserved you, not the one haunted by ghosts. That's not your choice to make. Sienna was on her feet, pacing. You don't get to decide what I can handle. You don't get to protect me from your past by lying about it. I know. Do you? Because this whole time, while I've been talking about wanting a baby, you've been what? Thinking about the child you lost? Afraid to try again? She was crying harder now, angry and heartbroken and overwhelmed. How can I trust anything between us is real when it's built on you hiding something this fundamental? It's real. Everything between us is real. The love, the partnership, the future we're building. That's all real, Sienna. The only thing that wasn't real was my courage to tell you the truth. I can't. Her voice broke. I can't do this right now. I can't be in this apartment with you. I can't look at you and not see 7 years of lies. Sienna, please don't leave. You don't get to ask me to stay. She was shouting now, months of fear and this fresh betrayal pouring out. You lied to me about who you are. You let me fall in love with you, marry you, talk about having children with you, all while hiding that you'd already had a wife and lost a child. How am I supposed to process that? I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know I should have told you, but please don't leave. Not now, not when the Petrovs are circling. At least stay where I can keep you safe. Safe? She laughed bitterly. I'm not safe with you, Jun. I'm not safe with a man who hides things this big, who decides what I'm allowed to know about my own life. She grabbed her phone and purse, heading for the bedroom to pack a bag. Jun followed. Where will you go? A hotel. Somewhere I can think without you hovering over me, trying to control what I know and when I know it. Take Daeho at least. Please. The threats are real. Fine. Daeho can come. But you stay here. I need space, Jun. I need time to figure out if I can even come back from this. She threw clothes into a bag, not caring what she grabbed. Jun stood in the doorway watching, his face destroyed, but he didn't try to stop her again. I love you, he said quietly as she zipped the bag. I know you don't believe that right now, but it's true. I love you more than I've ever loved anyone, and that includes Minji. You're not second best or a replacement. You're the person who made me want to live again after I'd been dead inside for years. Sienna's chest ached. If you loved me, you would have trusted me with the truth. You're right, and I'll regret that for the rest of my life. She walked past him without another word. Daeho was waiting in the living room, keys in hand, expression carefully neutral. He'd probably heard everything. Hotel Meridian, she told him, and I don't want Jun knowing my room number. Understood, Ms. Jones. The car ride was silent. Sienna stared out the window at the city lights blurring past and tried to figure out what she was feeling. Betrayed, yes. Angry, absolutely. But underneath it all was a grief so profound it made her physically ache. She thought she knew Jun completely, thought they'd built something honest and real. Now she had to reconsider every moment of their relationship through the lens of this massive lie. The Hotel Meridian was upscale and anonymous, exactly what she needed. Daeho checked her in using a false name for security, swept the room for threats, and positioned himself outside her door. I'll be right here, he said, all night. You're safe. But Sienna didn't feel safe. She felt adrift, untethered, like the life she'd built was revealed to be constructed on sand. She called Maya. He what? Maya's voice went from sleepy to shocked in seconds as Sienna explained everything. I don't know what to do, Sienna said, curled up on the hotel bed. I love him, but how do I come back from this? That's not something I can answer for you, honey, but I will say this. He lost everything once. A wife, a child, his whole life in Seoul. Maybe he was just terrified of losing you too, so he made the stupid decision to hide the thing most likely to make him lose you. That doesn't make it okay. No, it doesn't. But it makes it human. People do desperate, stupid things when they're scared. Maya paused. The question is, can you forgive him? Can you build a life knowing this happened? Can you trust him again? I don't know. They talked for another hour before Sienna finally let Maya go. She tried to sleep, but her mind wouldn't stop racing. Jun's devastated face, that wedding photo, Minji's pregnant belly. 7 years of secrets. At 2 a.m., there was a knock on the door. Gentle, almost hesitant. Ms. Jones? It wasn't Daeho's voice. Housekeeping. We have extra towels you requested? Sienna frowned. She hadn't requested towels. Through the peephole, she saw a woman in a hotel uniform. I didn't order any towels, she called through the door. Oh, I'm sorry, must be the wrong room. Have a good night. Sienna returned to bed, uneasy but exhausted. She'd just started to drift off when she heard a strange hissing sound, gas seeping under the door. She tried to get up to reach her phone, but her limbs felt heavy. The room spun. The last thing she saw before darkness claimed her was the door opening and figures in gas masks entering her room. Daeho was unconscious in the hallway, a dart in his neck. When Sienna woke, she was zip-tied to a chair in a cold, empty warehouse. Sienna's head pounded as consciousness slowly returned. Her wrists burned where the zip ties cut into her skin, and the cold concrete beneath her feet sent shivers up her spine. The warehouse was massive and empty, with broken windows letting in weak morning light. She had no idea how long she'd been unconscious or where she was. 3 figures stood in the shadows ahead of her, 2 men and a woman. As they stepped into the light, Sienna's breath caught. The woman was striking. Sharp features, blonde hair pulled back severely, eyes like ice. She wore an expensive suit that looked out of place in the decrepit warehouse. Ms. Jones, finally awake, I was beginning to think we'd used too much sedative. The woman's accent was Russian, her smile cold. My name is Katya Petrova. I believe you've been receiving my messages. Sienna's mouth was dry. Where's Deho? If you hurt him, your bodyguard is fine, merely sleeping off a tranquilizer. We have no interest in him. Katya pulled up a metal chair and sat directly in front of Sienna, studying her like a specimen. You're prettier in person than in photographs. I can see why June is so enamored. What do you want? What I want, justice, revenge. Call it what you like. Katya leaned back, crossing her legs. But first, I want to tell you a story. The true story of what your husband did to my family. Because I suspect he's fed you a very sanitized version. I know about Alexei, about Minji, about the shooting. Do you? Katya's smile widened. Did he tell you that my brother and Minji were in love? That they'd been planning to run away together, to leave both families and start fresh? Sienna said nothing, but her mind raced. June had said it was an affair, but he'd made it sound sordid, secretive, not love. Minji was trapped in a loveless marriage to a man who cared more about power than people. My brother offered her freedom. They were going to disappear after one final meeting, take the money they'd saved, and go somewhere neither family could find them. Katya's voice hardened. Your husband found out, and he couldn't bear the humiliation of his wife choosing someone else. That's not what happened. June said shots were fired, that it was chaos. Chaos he orchestrated. Katya pulled out her phone, swiped through photos, then turned the screen to face Sienna. Security footage, grainy but clear enough. A warehouse meeting. Jun and Minji arguing. Alexei stepping between them, Jun pulling a gun first. Sienna's stomach turned. No, June said. Alexei drew first. Your husband is a liar. He drew his weapon first. My brother drew in self-defense. And in the ensuing firefight, Minji, pregnant with my brother's child, not Jun's, was killed. Katya's eyes glistened with unshed tears. Jun took everything from my family that day. My brother, my nephew or niece. The future we should have had. I don't believe you. Don't you? Katya leaned forward. Think about it. Why would a man hide his past so completely unless he was ashamed of what he'd done? Why would he pay my family blood money for 7 years if he wasn't guilty? To avoid more violence, to make peace, or to buy our silence about what he really is, a murderer who killed his pregnant wife rather than let her leave him. Sienna's head spun. June's version and Katya's version were so different, and she had no way to know which was true. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know who you married, and because I want you to understand why what happens next is justice, not cruelty. Katya stood. June took the person I loved most. Now I'm going to take the person he loves most. An eye for an eye. Fear spiked through Sienna's chest. You're going to kill me. Eventually, but first I want him to suffer, to know you're here, scared and alone, questioning everything you thought you knew about him, to feel the helplessness I felt when I got the call that my brother was dead. Katya walked toward the door. We've already sent him your location. He's on his way, and when he arrives, he'll have a choice. turn himself over to the authorities, confess to his crimes, go to prison for the rest of his life, or watch you die. He'll never confess to something he didn't do. Then I suppose we'll find out just how much he loves you. Katya paused at the door. Oh, and one more thing you should know. The reason your husband has been hesitant about having children with you, it's not just grief over losing his first child. After Minji died, the guilt destroyed him. He had a vasectomy. He physically cannot give you the family you want. The door closed behind her with a hollow clang, leaving Sienna alone in the warehouse with those words echoing in her mind. A vasectomy. He couldn't have children. All those conversations about soon and in a few months had been lies. He'd let her plan for a future that was impossible. Tears streamed down her face, from fear, from betrayal, from the overwhelming weight of not knowing what was true anymore. Was June a man haunted by tragedy who'd made mistakes? Or was he a murderer who'd hidden his crimes behind charm and romance? Hours passed. The sun moved across the broken windows, casting long shadows. Sienna's wrists bled from struggling against the zip ties. She tried to stay calm, to think, to plan. But all she could think about was June's face when he'd confessed about Minji. The genuine pain in his eyes, the way his voice had broken. That hadn't been an act. She knew him well enough to know real emotion when she saw it. Didn't she? The warehouse door exploded open. Not subtly. Jun didn't do subtle when people he loved were in danger. He stormed in with Daeho and 4 other men, guns drawn, face carved from stone. When his eyes found Sienna, something in his expression cracked. Let her go. His voice was deadly quiet. Katya emerged from the shadows, flanked by her own men. June. So predictable. I knew you'd come charging in like some hero. I said let her go. June's gun didn't waver, aimed directly at Katya's head. Go ahead, shoot me. My men will kill her before her body hits the ground. Katya smiled. You're not in control here. For once in your miserable life, you don't get to dictate the terms. What do you want? I already told your wife. Confession. You, in prison, paying for what you did to my brother and Minji. That's the price for her life. June's jaw tightened. Fine. You want a confession? I'll give you one. June, no. Sienna found her voice finally. Don't do this. He looked at her, and the love in his eyes was so fierce it hurt. I'm not losing you. Not for anything. How touching, Katya said. But I want the confession to be public. The FBI is already on their way. I contacted them an hour ago. You'll confess to them, with evidence, with details, and you'll spend the rest of your life in prison knowing you saved her but lost everything else. Done. Jun, please! Sienna struggled against the zip ties. Don't throw your life away for me. My life doesn't mean anything without you in it. June's voice was firm, decided. I should have told you that every day. Should have told you everything from the beginning. I was a coward, and you paid the price. Stop being noble and listen to me. Sienna's voice rose, cutting through the tension. She looked at Katya. You said June drew his gun first. You said he killed them both. That's right. Then show me the rest of the footage, not just the part where he draws. Show me what happened after. Katya's smile faltered slightly. You've seen enough. No, I haven't. If you really want justice, if you really want the truth out there, show all of it. Sienna's mind was racing now, thinking instead of just reacting. Because something doesn't add up. June said someone else fired the shots that killed Minji and Alexei. Your footage shows the beginning of the confrontation, but not the actual shooting. Why? Because the rest is irrelevant. Or because it contradicts your story. Sienna's voice was steady now despite her fear. You want June to confess to murder, but you won't show the evidence that proves what actually happened. Why not? Unless... She paused, pieces clicking into place. Unless someone in your family killed them, and you've been hiding that truth for 7 years. The warehouse went silent. Katya's face had gone pale, her composure cracking. You're desperate, Katya said finally, trying to save your husband with conspiracy theories. Am I? Then prove me wrong. Show the full footage. June was staring at Sienna with something like awe. She met his eyes and saw understanding dawn. He'd been carrying guilt for 7 years for something he might not have actually done, and she was going to prove it. Show them, a voice said from the shadows. An older man stepped forward, similar features to Katya, clearly family. Show them what really happened, Katya, or I will. Papa, don't. Enough! The old man's voice was hard. I've let this revenge plot go on long enough. Your brother would be ashamed. Katya's eyes filled with tears. He deserves to pay. He does, but for the right crimes. The old man looked at June. You didn't pull the trigger that killed my son and that girl, but your jealousy, your rage, your confrontation, that set everything in motion. You bear responsibility for creating the situation that got them killed. June's face was gray. I know. I've known that for 7 years. I may not have fired the shot, but I caused it. Who did fire? Sienna asked quietly. The old man's expression was grave. My security chief. Panicked when the guns came out, started shooting. Killed both my son and the girl before anyone could stop him. I dealt with him personally afterward. He looked at Katya. Your sister has been trying to avenge Alexei by destroying June, but the real killer is already dead. The revelation hung in the air like smoke. Katya's face crumpled, years of misdirected rage collapsing into grief. Her father crossed to her, pulling her into his arms as she finally broke down. Cut her loose, the old man ordered one of his guards, gesturing to Sienna. The zip ties fell away and Sienna's hands flew to her raw wrists. Jun was at her side instantly, pulling her into his arms so tightly she could barely breathe. She felt him shaking against her. I'm sorry, he whispered against her hair, for all of it. For every lie, every secret, every moment I chose fear over honesty. Sienna pulled back to look at him, her own tears falling freely. You really did have a vasectomy? His face fell. She told you. Why? Why would you let me talk about babies, plan for a family, when you knew it was impossible? Because I'm a coward. Because I thought maybe I could reverse it, that we'd have time, that I could fix it before you had to know. June's voice broke. Because telling you meant admitting I'd been so destroyed by grief that I'd made sure I could never go through that pain again. And that felt like a betrayal of what we could have together. It was a betrayal of my trust, of our future. I know. June's hands cupped her face. I know, and there's no excuse. I should have told you the day you said you wanted a family. Should have given you the choice about whether you could live with that. Sienna's chest ached. She was so angry at him, so hurt by his deceptions. But standing here, having almost lost him to Katya's revenge, having watched him willing to throw his life away to save hers, she couldn't deny what she felt. Can it be reversed? She asked quietly. Hope flickered in June's eyes. Sometimes. There's no guarantee, but I've been researching it. I was going to tell you, I swear. I was just trying to find the right time. There's never a right time for hard truths. You just have to say them. She stepped back, needing space to think. I love you, Jun, but I can't keep doing this. Can't keep discovering huge pieces of your past that you've hidden. If we're going to have any kind of future, I need complete honesty. No more secrets. No more protecting me from difficult truths. Anything. I'll tell you anything you want to know. And the vasectomy, you'll look into the reversal? Talk to doctors? Already have an appointment scheduled. Next week. June reached for her hand tentatively. But Sienna, I need you to understand something. If it can't be reversed, if we can't have biological children, I'll understand if that's a deal breaker. You deserve the family you want. There are other ways to have a family, Sienna said, though her voice wavered. Adoption, surrogacy, but what I can't work with is dishonesty. That's the deal breaker. Not your past, not your mistakes, the lying about them. No more lies, June promised. I swear on everything I have. Behind them, Katya had composed herself. I'm sorry, she said, voice hoarse, for the threats, the kidnapping, all of it. I wanted someone to blame for losing my brother, and you were convenient. June turned to face her, still holding Sienna's hand. I am to blame. Not for the actual shooting, but for creating the situation that led to it. Your brother and Minji might have lived if I'd handled things differently. That guilt is mine to carry. We all carry guilt for that day, Katya's father said. My security chief, my poor judgment in bringing a trigger-happy fool to a tense meeting, Minji's family for arranging a loveless marriage, Alexei for pursuing a married woman. He looked at June. You're not blameless, but you're not the monster my daughter has painted you as? What happens now? Daeho asked, still covering everyone with his weapon. Now we end this, the old man said. No more revenge, no more blood. The FBI doesn't need to know about any of this. We go our separate ways and let the dead finally rest. June nodded slowly. Agreed, but I want it in writing. A treaty witnessed and binding. Neither family moves against the other, ever. Done. Sienna watched these men negotiate peace after years of hatred and felt exhausted. Exhausted by violence, by secrets, by living in a world where bodies and betrayal were currency. She thought about the life she'd imagined when she first fell for June. Exciting, passionate, different from her safe, small existence. She'd gotten all that and more, but at what cost? In the car ride back to the city, she stared out the window while June made calls to his lawyers, arranging the formal peace treaty. Daeho drove in silence, occasionally catching her eye in the rearview mirror with an expression of concern. Where do you want to go? June asked when he'd finished the calls. Home? Wherever you need to be, that's where we'll go. Home, Sienna said quietly. I want to go home. June's face showed cautious relief. Yeah? Yeah, but we need to talk, really talk, about everything. And so he did. In the penthouse for hours into the night, June told her everything. About his childhood in Seoul, raised by a father who taught him that power was the only thing that mattered. About his early days building his empire, the people he'd hurt, the lines he'd crossed. About Minji's family and the arranged marriage, the cold distance between them, his guilt over never loving her the way she deserved, about finding out about the affair and feeling humiliated, worthless, betrayed, about the confrontation and the shooting and the 7 years of guilt that followed, about the vasectomy he'd gotten in a moment of despair, convinced he didn't deserve to be a father after failing so catastrophically before. He told her about the payments to Minji's family, about the therapy he'd tried and abandoned, about the years of being numb until a wrong number photo had made him feel something for the first time in forever. You were supposed to be temporary, he admitted as dawn broke. Through the windows. Someone to distract me, to make me feel alive for a moment. But you became everything, and I was so terrified of losing you that I made all the wrong choices. Sienna had listened to it all, asking questions, crying at parts, angry at others. Now, exhausted and emotionally wrung out, she looked at him. I need you to understand something. I'm not Minji. I'm not some delicate thing that needs to be protected from reality. I chose this life with my eyes open, but I can only keep choosing it if you let me see clearly. I understand. Do you? Because if I stay, if we work through this, there can't be any more revelations. No more, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this huge thing. If something from your past shows up, you tell me immediately. If you're struggling with something, you tell me. If there's a decision to be made about our future, we make it together. Yes. To all of it, yes. And therapy. We both go. Together and separately. Because we need help processing this if we're going to survive it. June nodded. Whatever you need. Whatever it takes. Sienna stood and walked to the window, looking out at the city waking up. She thought about leaving, about going back to her simple life where the biggest risk was a badly exposed photograph. It would be easier, safer, quieter. But she'd never been the same person who sent that accidental photo. Jun had changed her, yes, but she'd also changed herself. She'd become braver, stronger, more willing to take risks and demand what she deserved. Walking away now felt like betraying that growth. I'm staying, she said finally, but we're doing this differently. Full transparency, full partnership, and we're putting the baby conversation on hold until we've rebuilt trust and you've talked to doctors about the reversal. June crossed to her, but didn't touch her. Just stood close, radiating relief and gratitude. Thank you. I don't deserve another chance, but I'll spend every day earning it. You're right. You don't deserve it. Sienna turned to face him. But I love you anyway, and love isn't about deserving. It's about choosing every day to build something together, even when it's hard. I choose you, Jun said, voice breaking. Every day, every way. I choose you. She kissed him then, soft at first, tentative, like they were learning each other again. But then his arms came around her waist and she melted into him, all the fear and anger and love pouring into that kiss. It was deep and desperate, full of promise and pain and hope. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, June pressed his forehead to hers. I missed you, he whispered. Even though it's only been a day, I missed you so much. I missed you too. Sienna's hands fisted in his shirt. Stay with me tonight. Just hold me. I need to feel safe again. Jun picked her up gently, carrying her to their bedroom. They lay together in the darkness, wrapped in each other's arms, finding comfort in closeness. No words were needed. Just the steady beat of his heart against her ear, the warmth of his embrace, the silent promise that they would face tomorrow together. 2 months later, they were in couples therapy twice a week. June had the vasectomy reversal surgery, and while the doctors said it would take time to know if it was successful, there was hope. They traveled to Seoul together and visited Minji's grave, where Sienna placed flowers and whispered a promise to honor the memory of the woman who'd come before her. She would have liked you, Minji's mother told Sienna when they met. She would have been happy that June found real love. The Petrov family kept their word. No more threats, no more revenge. Katya sent a brief email months later. Be happy. That's the best revenge against tragedy. Sienna's photography career continued to flourish. She had a show called Second Chances that featured portraits of people who'd rebuilt their lives after tragedy. June attended opening night, proud and supportive, never trying to control or influence her work. On their first anniversary, Jun gave her a gift, a leather-bound journal filled with handwritten pages. His entire history, every detail, every secret, every piece of his past that he could think of. So you never have to wonder, he said. So you always have access to all of me. Sienna cried reading it. Not because the contents were shocking. He'd already told her most of it. But because the gesture meant everything. He was finally, truly, choosing transparency over protection. That night, she showed him how much the gesture meant with a kiss that made them both forget the world existed. They spent the evening reconnecting, talking about their dreams for the future, holding each other close as they fell asleep tangled together. 6 months after that, Sienna missed her period. The pregnancy test was positive. The vasectomy reversal had worked. When she told Jun, he broke down. Tears of joy, of redemption, of finally believing he might deserve this second chance at fatherhood. "Are you sure?" he kept asking, pulling her into his arms. "Are you absolutely sure?" "I'm sure," Sienna laughed, crying herself. "We're having a baby." June kissed her then, deeply, passionately, lifting her off her feet and spinning her around. They celebrated with champagne, sparkling cider for her, and spent the night making plans, dreaming about the future, marveling at this miracle they'd been given. They decided not to find out the gender, wanting to be surprised, but they talked about names, about nursery colors, about what kind of parents they wanted to be. Jun read every parenting book he could find. Sienna documented her pregnancy in photographs, creating a visual diary of their journey. Their daughter was born on a clear autumn morning. They named her Hope, because that's what she represented. Hope for a better future. Hope for redemption. Hope that people could change and grow and build beautiful things from broken pieces. As Sienna held her newborn daughter, Jun beside her with tears streaming down his face, she thought about that accidental photo 3 years ago, the wrong number that had led to everything, danger and love, fear and growth, betrayal and forgiveness. She wouldn't change a single moment. So here's my question for you, and I really want to know. Could you forgive someone who hid a past this big? Would you stay and rebuild trust, or is some betrayal too deep to come back from? Drop your answer in the comments below. If June and Sienna's journey moved you, smash that like button right now. Subscribe and turn on notifications because their story might not be over yet. Sometimes the past has a way of resurfacing when you least expect it. Share this with someone who believes in second chances, who understands that real love means facing hard truths together. Tell me in the comments, what's the biggest secret someone kept from you? How did you handle it? I read every single comment, and your experiences inspire these stories. Until next time, remember that the strongest relationships aren't the ones without problems. They're the ones where people choose honesty and growth, even when it's terrifying. Sometimes the hardest truth is the one that saves you.